Hey, this video will show you some hacks so you can master some percent calculation problems. So recall that we do have some task verbs that you may encounter: identify, describe, explain, justify, make a claim, and propose a solution. Today, we're dealing with calculate. And in particular, we're calculating percent change and percentage problems. So you've probably seen this poster before. I'm going to do some examples. So calculate the percent change between 1970 and 2020. When you're doing a percent change, you're doing its final minus initial over initial times 100. This you have to multiply by 100 in order to get the percent. So I'm going to color code it. Red and blue, final value, minus the initial value, divided by the initial value. 2,500 minus 1,000 divided by 1,000. 1,500 divided by 1,000 is really 1.5 times 100. 150% increase. Because this number was positive, it is an increase. If it says percent change and the value is negative, it was a decrease. Another example. Calculate the percent increase in the populations of both developed and developing countries between 1960 and 2020. So you'll notice that I have two different values. I got the developed countries and the developing. I'm going to do developed first, following the same formula. So I have my final value. Look here, draw the line over. Use a straight edge, don't just eyeball it. And my initial value. So I had 1.2 minus 0.8 divided by 0.8. So when I simplify that, I have 0.4 over 0.8 times 100. That is a 0.5. That's a 50% increase. Now, I'm going to do the developing countries in purple. Again, I have my final value and minus my initial value. 6.7 minus 1.9 divided by 1.9. That's 4.8 divided by 1.9. Get out your calculators. That is a 253% increase. If you would have said 250%, you would have also been received credit because of significant figures. It's okay. So these types now, the next types of questions are just percentage questions. So when it says calculate 25% of 800 grams. This is following a slightly different formula. It's percent over 100 equals part over whole. These are equivalent proportions. Whatever this proportion is, it's the same as this proportion. This one's just always out of 100. So it would look like this. So if I took this whole thing, would be 800 grams. You could probably figure it out just by looking at it, but I'm going to show you the math behind it. So the 25% would go in this spot. This entire 800 grams is the whole. So now what I'm going to do is solve for x. By the way, 100 is never an unknown. So whenever you have this, I know you guys learned how to do 25 times 800 equals 100x, and then it's like an extra step. I don't know why they taught you that, because I learned it this way. You cross multiply 25 times 800, and then you do what you're going to do anyway, divide by 100. So I always say cross multiply and divide. That's exactly what you do. If you feel comfortable doing it your own way, do it your own way. But x would equal 200 grams. Another example. Calculate the percentage of global renewable energy that is generated from solar power. So I have all these different types of renewable energy. We're only concerned with the solar power in yellow. Now, you're going to follow the same formula. We're going to have to do a little bit more work here. We're calculating the percentage. We have to determine the whole value as well. So our part is 856 terawatt hours. It's okay if you don't know what this means. It doesn't always matter. Just write your units in there anyway, because you want to make sure to maximize your points. Now for this whole value, we have to add up all of these values. So I'm going to start with 856 plus 1591, add up all of these numbers that you see around here. And you get 7,444 terawatt hours. That will go into my whole. Now again, I'm going to cross multiply and divide, and my answer is 11.5%. Okay, one more question, one more example. Calculate the approximate mass of corn that can be produced with 250,000 gallons of water, assuming that it takes around 60 gallons of water to produce 1 kilogram of corn. So this is still it's a proportion. It's like a percent, but it's really a smaller portion equals a larger portion. In other words, this proportion is the same as this. It's an equivalent. It's just this got bigger by, 100 times. This got bigger also by 100 times, whatever the value is. For this example, I'm going to use these colors to represent, and I'm going to go through and annotate. So the mass of the corn, that's going to be our unknown. It's an X. 250,000 gallons of water is for the bigger component. So that's where that would go. And I'm always going to put my units on here. It's best to put your units every single time. Don't just write random numbers, because you will not get points if you do not show your units in the setup. Now the 60 gallons of water is going to go here because we want to have like units both as numerators, like units both as denominators. And here it is 1 kilogram of corn. So now this proportion is going to be the same as this proportion. So this number down here is going to be bigger than 1, but smaller than 250,000. Again, I'm going to cross multiply and divide and get 4,200 kilograms. So I showed you a few different ways of solving percent calculation problems. You will have plenty of opportunities to practice that throughout the year. I thank you for your attention. I hope that this video was informative, and I will see you soon.